So recording has started. So quick recap. So introduction, what it was about, main topic. What was the main topic of introduction?
Definition of uttama bhakti.
Uttama Bhakti, definition of Uttama Bhakti. And what was this chapter 1?
Characteristic of uttama bhakti.
6 characteristics of Uttama Bhakti. Right. And then the chapter 2, what we have talked so far is the what are the so first we covered last time, we covered three topics or 4 topics actually. Qualification to understand bhakti, right? And what we learned from this qualification to understand bhakti, what is the summary of this? Yes, somebody was trying to speak. What is the summary of qualification for practicing devotional service? No one.
Attracts.
Always remembering Krishna and not forgetting.
uh So yes, that definitely we talked about. That is the principle which we have to apply whenever we are doing anything. That how this is enabling me to always remember Krishna and not forget him, right? But the summary here of this topic was that the bhakti comes from bhakti, right? So bhakti is not something which anyone can go and do the endeavor and they will get the bhakti. So that's the reason that we need to interact with the devotee. When the devotee rewards us, when the devotee give the ashirvad, right, they it rekindles it, right? So it is the impression which is coming from the. So see here what is saying: execution of devotional service, attraction for devotional service. It goes in the circle, right? And here it says the causeless mercy of the devotee and the Lord, and that leads to this. So bhakti comes from bhakti. So what is the qualification? That we have to do the devotional service. If we do the devotional service, then the more attraction for the Lord is going to happen. That's the reason why there is so much of emphasis on the service and interaction with the devotee, right? And that's the reason we also, some of the things we have talked in the past is about the agyan sukriti. See this word here, agyan sukriti, right here. So Agyat Sukriti is very important. So all of us have had Agyat Sukriti in the past, our life, or maybe in this life, which has allowed us to get the qualification for bhakti. And this is the precise reasons why when we run the events in our temples or we distribute the prasad, this is the precise reason what we are trying to do. Right? We would definitely would like to people to come to bhakti as fast as possible, but not everybody is ready because they don't have the enough baggage of sukriti. So when we do the prasad, anybody can tell me how the prasad distribution helps with the agyat sukriti?
Prabhu Prashadam helps to clean the consciousness.
Hmm, definitely, that's for part one, number one. Yes,
So,
yes.
so like they say that just jaise khavan वैसा होए मन.
Mm,
So,
yes,
uh,
exactly.
yeah, that's why that really helps. And when you eat prasad, you also are so attracted towards it that I have seen like a lot of people, like including us, when we had prasad, we wanted to go and serve uh, at least some way or the other, cut vegetable and all that. And that's how our association started, and that's how our attraction towards
Yeah,
seva bhakti had started. So yeah, so
yeah.
that's yeah.
But how does it help with the agyat sukriti?
Prabhu, there there are some examples in Bhagavatam also, like how Narad Muni ate the leftover, uh, and his path toward the bhakti started. So
Right. So yes, whenever of course we are eating prasad, that is adding to the baggage of agyat sukriti. That's one type we are getting the agyat sukriti. The second thing is what we are getting when we eat the prasad and we interact with the devotee. We say, "Wow, such a wonderful devotee! Oh wow, such a wonderful prasad. Is it okay?" And then we start talking. We say, "Okay, we talk about the prasad. Let's say we talk about the Krishna." So all those things are adding to the agyat sukriti. Right. So that's the reason we have to be very careful that whenever we are going outside, we are representing Krishna, right? We are the agent of Krishna, through through whom, through us, we might become an instrument to bring somebody closer to Krishna, right? So we have to really care about our Vaishnava qualities, how we behave. Just not that, oh, he or she is an important person, oh, he or she is Harivilas Maharaj, so I am going to bow down, or he or she, this person I don't know much, okay, that's fine, okay. So no, we have to be, means, and this is where nectar of instruction, doesn't matter what kind of devotee anyone is, right? We always pay respect to that devotee. Don't think that somebody is lower or higher from the respect perspective. But of course, when we do the discrimination based on where they are, right? So that is one part. And then when we are going interacting with the so-called non-devotee, we never know who is devotee, who is not devotee, right? By just looking at it. But we try to distribute the prasad, distribute the Krishna's message, and the goal is so that people can get the Agyas Sukriti. Okay, so that was one topic we had talked about. And then top types of bhakti. How many types of bhakti did we talk about?
Two types, Prabhu.
And what are those, Mataji?
Sadhana and sadhya.
Sadhana and sadhya. So in the so in these so that is one way, sadhana and sadhya, right? So sadhya is a perfected stage, right? And within the sadhya, so what are the sadhyas? What are the different types in sadhya? So anyway, so sadhya actually, so there are um this is not the question exactly I asked, but because you just asked about you said the sadhana and sadhya. Sadhya is a perfected stage, so it's a prema. So there are different types of prema bhakti, right? So we will cover those type little bit. I think we have something today. So three types we discussed: sadhana, bhava, and prema. So what is the difference between between bhava and prema? Let's go quickly so that we can finish the review quickly and start the chapter.
there are still some impurities in bhav.
Right, right. Yeah, so bhava itself is a very exalted position, right? But the prema is the condensed form of bhava, right? So bhava is compared to one ray of light, and prema is the light, right? So that's bhava and prema, and yes, bhava has some impurity, very small impurity, and the prema there is no impurity. And what is sadhana? So we talked about the sadhana bhakti, right? What is sadhana bhakti? Before we go to the definition, yeah, just tell me what do you remember?
In sadhana, there is no direct realization of the Lord, Prabhu.
That's true. That's true. But how the sadhana bhakti is practiced?
Mm, The goal is bhava.
Wonderful, wonderful. The goal is bhava, and how do we practice it? Through our
Senses.
Controlling of senses.
senses. Yeah, through our so this is a definition of sadhana bhakti. Action of the senses which produces the stage of bhava is called sadhana bhakti. So we are using our senses to achieve bhava. That's sadhana bhakti, right? In a nutshell, this attained state of bhava bhakti is an eternal sthai bhava which is not created but simply manifest within the soul by the spiritual energy of the Lord. So what it is, the second part is telling, this bhava, sthai bhava is always exist. Sthai means it always exists. It's a fixed thing which exists. It is not created. It exists, but it then is through the practice of sadhana bhakti is rekindled. Rekindled. So all the conditioning is removed and the seed start fructifying. So seed is there. The fructification process happens through the process of sadhana bhakti. Okay, so that is sadhana bhakti. So we are using our senses, mind, everything, whatever is physical gross we are using for sadhana bhakti. Okay, so that was the sadhana bhakti. Then within this, what is there? Okay, so first of all, how many types of sadhana bhakti do we have? Do we have type of sadhana bhakti?
Two types, Prabhu.
Yes,
Vaidhi,
and
Vaidhi Sadhan Bhakti and Raganuga Sadhan.
Raga Nuga Bhakti. Yes, yes. Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti and Raga Nuga Bhakti. Yes. So now, what is Sadhana Bhakti, or what is the difference between Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti and Raga Nuga Bhakti?
In Vaidhi Sadhan Bhakti, there is no attachment or no spontaneous loving service to the Lord, Prabhu.
Yes, very good. And what is the basis of the Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti? What we rely on? So where's the inspiration coming from, the Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti?
Spiritual master or scriptures, Prabhu.
Yes, perfect answer. Perfect answer. Right. So the basis of uh, Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti is spiritual master and the scriptures. So see, where the actions of bhakti arise not from the attainment of raga, but by the teaching of a scripture, it is called Vaidhi Bhakti. And why we are saying Guru? Because who is really making us understand the teaching of the scriptures? Guru, right? That's the reason. It's implicitly is included. Teaching of the scripture include the Guru also. Okay, so why? So all the things what we studied and just we reviewed, why it is important to us? Why does it matter to us? This simple question I'm asking, because see, we are studying. It may seem theoretical. Um, some of us may not be having so much of interest that okay, why this definition, why that definition, uh, right? And we forget, right? Because when there is no interest, we forget about it, right? So I'm just trying to bring us that point that why this matters to us.
To know where we are at our bhakti stage.
So yeah, that's definitely one point. The second, the important point is we are all the practitioner of what?
Ra-
We are practitioner of what? Right. We are practicing. What kind of bhakti are we practicing?
Sadhana.
Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti we are practicing. Okay, so when we are practicing Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti, we have to see how it is connected to the Supreme Lord, why it matters. So, right, you see that where we started. We started with the definition of uttama bhakti. Okay, that okay, our north star is to please the Lord, right? So there are four aspects of the uttama bhakti we talked about. Then we said, okay, what is the definition of bhakti? We talked about. Then we said, okay, that is the definition of bhakti. Then what is the sadhana bhakti? Because we are doing sadhana bhakti, right? And within the sadhana bhakti, we are doing Vaidhi sadhana bhakti, right? So now we understand why we are studying scriptures. The goal is to rekindle our love for the Lord. And because we don't have the raga, we are using the sadhu guru sastra. right? To rekindle our love, right? We rekindle our love, we are interacting with the devotee, we are doing the devotional service to the Lord with the hope. All those things will cleanse our internal conditioning, right? Once it cleanses our internal conditioning, our anartha will start getting visible to us, right? A lot of us even don't know that we have those anarthas. Some of us have started seeing the anarthas. Then we start seeing more and more anartha. It's not that we are developing more anarthas. It's just the conditioning is more revealed when we get these shastras, when we practice. Then we say, oh wow, I have that kind of thing also. Oh, I have that tinge of jealous also. Oh, do I have the tinge of envy also? Do I have, oh, I am lazy also, right? We think all about those things. This start getting revealed. Oh, why I don't have the taste for the japa? Why I'm not able to do the japa properly? Why my mind is flickering? So I remember, I so so all those things happens, right? So and so we have to utilize all our senses. Now the Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti is telling that it is a function of our senses. So we have to see, okay, how to engage our senses, how to engage our mind in 24 hours, right? That should be our goal. And as we start practicing, Krishna sitting in our heart will help us remove those anarthas, right? And then as he's removing, the more revelation will happen. We'll be able to understand the Shastra more. The more progress will happen because the more revelation will happen, and this will keep going. And one day will it happen that most of the anarthas are removed. We'll come to the stage of Nishtha, right? Right now, like we have the Shraddha, which is like a we will read about that, like a different kind of shraddha. We have kind of a little weak shraddha or medium shraddha, because if we have somebody has the firm shraddha means a strong shraddha, which is like a nishtha. So a good example I can tell you is Harivilas Maharaj, right? See his nishtha all the 24/7. He's just thinking about Krishna, what to do, what not to do. Nothing else matter, right? So when we have an example, we can compare and see that, oh, where we are. We have so long way to go, but that is not a point to say that, oh, let me get demotivated. It is the way to think, oh, i have to get I have to add more motivation, more drive, right? Because all the things what we are doing in this material world is just a waste of time. All the dollars we are accumulating, all the things, I bet you none of us are going to spend all the dollars in our bank balance. That is, I can say with 99% certainty. For most of us, we are going to leave the dollars whatever we are working in the bank, thinking that we might need it, but we won't need it, because before that our time will come. Okay, so that is the reason why this nectar of devotion is, for the practitioner of bhakti, is so important, right? So if we say that we are a practitioner of bhakti, then we have to pay attention to this topic. We have to intently try to learn the topic and then use that in our practice, right? Then artha nivritti will go away, and we will be slowly get to the stage of nishtha, which will ultimately get to ruchi, asakti, and bhava and prema. Okay, so this is what we did. Um, Now, results of Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. I think this is also we had covered. So, by worshipping me through the various methods prescribed in the Vedas and Tantras, one will gain from me his desired perfection, both in this life and the next. Right? This is the guarantee. And of course, guarantee in Bhagavad Gita, we have heard like Lord says that once you surrender, you don't worry about me. All the sins and everything will be taken care of. You will come back to me. It's guarantee Krishna gives. Okay, so results of Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. O Devarishi, all activities prescribed in the scriptures with the Lord as the object are called Vaidhi Bhakti. By this performance of Bhakti, one attains Prema Bhakti. Had we covered this, or this is not? No, we haven't covered. Okay, sorry. Yeah, we haven't covered this. So because my marker is here. Okay, so results of Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti we didn't cover. So we will start from here. Okay. So does the recap make sense? Means right now, if you try to do a mind map in your mind, right, about what we study, can you quickly put everything together in your mind? Can everybody do it right now? Can you see the connection? Yes, no?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, Mataji. Good. Good. Yeah, means please, if you don't understand the connection, please let me know. This is very important because it is, see, we are having this class not like, I don't want it to be, okay, when somebody is speaking, the other person is just listening. I want it to be interactive discussion based class with the goal is that we are understanding, following the concept. Because once we follow the concept, the change is guaranteed. If the change is not happening, it means that we are not paying attention. Okay, and that is also a guarantee that we are not paying attention. That's the reason the change is not happening. We are not paying attention. Our practices are not improving. So that's the reason the improvement is not happening. So there is no fault in Krishna's message. There is no fault. The fault is in our desire to go understand, practice. That is where it is. Okay. So please, my request is please try to, if the connection is not happening, please do let me know. If you want to talk one-on-one, feel free to do that or in the class. Okay, so anybody would like to read the translation here? No?
I can read, Prabhu.
Okay, Prabhuji.
1.2.12. The results of Vaidhi Bhakti are stated. By worshipping me through the various methods prescribed in the Vedas and tantras, one will gain from me his desired perfection both in this life and the next. 1.2.13 translation. In the Pancharatra it says, O Devarshi, all activities prescribed in the scriptures with the Lord as the object are called Vaidhi Bhakti. By this performance of bhakti, one attains prema bhakti.
Okay, so see, these are the benefit, right? So anything which is prescribed in the scripture, right, with the Lord as the object are called Vaidhi Bhakti, right? So and who is Krishna? Rasamrita Sindhu. He is the source of the rasa, right? He is the river of rasa. He's the ocean of rasa, right? So once it is the scripture with the Lord in it, that will lead to Vaidhi Bhakti, and by this performance one will attain Prema Bhakti. Just forget about the bhava. One will retain the Prema Bhakti, right? And then what is the benefit? By worshiping through the various methods prescribed in the Vedas and tantras, one will gain from me his desired perfection both in this life and the next. So Lord, so this in this sentence, if you can take that, so people who are doing mixed bhakti, who have desire, they will get their desire of liberation or whatever they want. But if somebody is practicing without the desire, they are practicing the uttama bhakti, they will get Lord. They will get Lord in the physical interaction, right? So they will. That's what the guarantee is being made here. So here, by worshipping me through the various methods prescribed in the Vedas and the tantras, one will gain from me his desired perfection, both in his this life and the next. And this is from the Srimad Bhagavatam. So, result of Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti, or the same thing, okay, we have talked about it. Results of Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti, having shown the totality of results available from Vaidhi Bhakti, as in verse like Akam Sarvo Kamo Va. The highest result is described in this verse. Okay, so next topic, qualification for taking up to Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. So what is the qualification for taking up to Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti? This is the topic we'll be talking next. So anybody would like to read it?
I can read, Prabhu.
Go ahead, Mataji.
1.2.14 Translation. The qualified person is described as follows: the person who has developed faith in serving the Lord by impressions arising from previous association with devotees, who is not too attached to material objects and who is not too detached, is qualified for Vaidhi Bhakti. Jiva Goswami's commentary. The word Atibhagyena by extreme good fortune means by distinctive impressions arising from association with devotees. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura's commentary. Atibhagyena means by special impressions arising from association with great devotees. Vairagyam means false renunciation, which is unfavorable for worship. The devotee does not indulge in that false vairagya. However, it is understood he will endeavor for detachment from desires for material enjoyment, since that is favorable for development of bhakti. 64. 1.2.15 translation. In the 11th canto, it is said, if somehow or other by good fortune one develops faith in hearing and chanting my glories, such a person, being neither very disgusted with nor attached to material life, should achieve perfection through the path of loving devotion to me. Srimad Bhagavatam 11.20.8. Jiva Goswami's commentary. The Lord describes this awakening of faith. Having awakened faith in the narrations of my glories, being disgusted with all prescribed activities, varnashrama, knowing that all sense gratification leads to misery, but still being unable to renounce all sense enjoyment, my devotee should remain happy and worship me with great faith and conviction. Even though he is sometimes engaged in sense enjoyment, my devotee knows that all sense gratification leads to miserable result, and he sincerely repents such activities. Srimad Bhagavatam 11.20.27 to 28. In the verse Srimad Bhagavatam 11.20.28 quoted above, the word tata means starting from the situation, thereafter. Bhakti is not dependent on anything else because it possesses its own great power. It is not like jnana or other processes, which are dependent on detachment and other things. However, it is dependent on indifference to karma, nirvinna, sarva kamasu. In order to bring about exclusive concentration on the Lord, anyabhilasita shunyam. Such an inclination is suitable at this stage of bhakti. However, it is not necessary in the higher stages, such as that of the Atmarama, when difference to material goals has already been achieved. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura's commentary. The following verses show that a person who has faith in topics of the Lord, Mata Kathadau Jata Shraddhaha, is qualified for Bhakti Yoga. Shraddhamruta Kathayame, firm faith in the blissful narration of my pastimes. Shraddhalur Mat Katha Shunvan, a faithful person who constantly hears such transcendental activities. Srimad Bhagavatam 11.11.23. Nati Saktaha means devoid of extreme attachment to body, house, and family. Na nirvinna, not detached, means if the person is completely disgusted with sense objects, he is qualified for jnana, not bhakti. If he is too attached to sense objects, he is qualified for karma. If the person is devoid of extreme attachment, then that person is qualified for bhakti. Thus, there are three persons qualified by three types of attachment. Disgust with objects is caused by purification of the heart arising from practice of niskama karma. The cause of too much attachment is beginningless ignorance, avidya. The cause of being devoid of too much attachment is the unexpected association with exalted devotees alone. These respective causes should be noted. However, there are seen cases of extraordinary qualification. By the unexpected association of the devotee, even a person extremely attached to sense objects, Indriyavan, becomes qualified for bhakti.
Wow. See this. So each of the sentences, if it, like, so first, what do you see the theme from these two verses? What is the theme?
Anyone can do bhakti.
Okay, that's one. What is the what's the other point which was coming very clearly? What kind of people anybody can do bhakti, but what kind of people can really do bhakti, right? So he's talking about the characteristic, right? So for jnana, there has to be complete detachment. But bhakti, what are the characteristic mentioned from that perspective? None of you got that? It was very clear. See, it says that the person who has developed faith in serving the law of impression arising from previous association, who is not too attached to material object and who is not too detached. So these and see, and the same thing is repeated in the next verse, right? Not too disgusted. So the main thing is the people who are the best fit for bhakti, they are neither too attached, neither too detached. And why that is the case? First of all, does it make sense? What is is that theme? Does it make sense? Is it clear? No.
Prabhu, yeah, I get the not too attached, but what does not too detached mean here?
Yeah. So that's where I wanted to go to the second question. And but you are asking. That's a good thing that you are directly asking that question. So let's ask in the class. What do you think?
Prabhu, for if you don't have any attachment, so bhakti is attachment towards Krishna, right? So if you don't have any attachment, you cannot develop that attachment for Krishna also. So if you are too detached, then probably that is kind of jnana or some.
Yes. Yeah. That is yes. That is definitely one way of the interpretation. The second way we have to see that when we say dovetail, we dovetail anything or everything in the service of the Krishna. If we are too detached, then we'll say that, oh, this computer is really bad, this table is really bad, this chair is really bad, right? uh, this car is really bad, this is all giving, right? Okay, so I should be just walking. So I'll be thinking, but now if I'm not attached to my car, I'm not attached to my home, and I'm thinking that, okay, how can I use this home for Krishna's service? How can I use my family for Krishna's service? So now if I become too detached from my family, and if I'm a wife, then I say that, why do I need to cook? I'm just going to do chanting, okay? And I'll tell that, okay, 64 round of chanting every day or 128 round of chanting every day, no cooking, because that's what that's my end. So if that happens, then I am losing my duty towards my husband or my children, right? And or vice versa, if we take a case of husband and he is doing that, then again, right? So bhakti is, we use everything, all the sadhan which has been provided to us for Krishna and for Krishna's devotee. That's the reason why logically it can be explained that who is a good candidate for bhakti, who is not too attached, who is not too detached. Okay, now where it becomes the more practical to think is our own definition of a too attached and too detached. If a wife is thinking, no, no, I'm not too attached to my children, but anything happened to the children, and the wife is, the mother is getting too worried, and then she keeps thinking about it, and she keeps thinking about it, and not taking care of her sadhana bhakti, then that is a sign of attachment, too much of attachment, little too much of attachment, right? So these are the things we have to really internalize and see. There won't be a book which will write all the definition. Oh, this is what the too attached or too detached really means. What it really means is, whatever I am doing, is it is favorable for Krishna, or it is not favorable for Krishna. That's the lens we have to see through. Is it going to be pleasing to Krishna, not pleasing to Krishna, right? It is mix of jnana karma anavritam thing or not, right? So we have to see from all those angles. So all this definition will help to understand that. So Rekha, Mataji, does it make sense? Your answer to your
Yes, yes,
question?
Prabhuji.
Okay,
Yes,
okay,
yes, very good. Yes.
okay. So, so qualification for taking up Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti, the person who has developed faith, Jata Shraddha, right? So Jata Shraddha is called faith. In serving the Lord by impressions arising from previous association with devotees, who is not. So this is, see how the definition, you see, before it comes into the two attached and two detached, is saying that who has developed faith in serving the, and where the faith is coming from. And this is how, so even though the 8 steps of bhakti start from shraddha, this is where the our acharya is saying that okay, this is what Ved Vyasa has written. But where this faith is coming from, it is coming from the association arising from the previous association with devotees. Previous association can be in the past life, or maybe in this life, or the mix of both. Okay, in most cases the mix of both. We have some association in the past life, a gas sukriti baggage, and then in this life it became a little more conducive. We started coming more in association with the devotees. We appreciated them, that led to more gas sukriti, and then through the agency of devotees we were connected, right? So this is the first part of the sentence. Then who is not too attached to the material object and who is not too detached, this we already discussed, right, is qualified for Vaidhi Bhakti, right? So this is the good way. Like if we see the people in our life, we see that hey, whether this person is conducive for bhakti or not, means we can see from their behavior, if are they too attached, too detached. But again, if somebody are too attached, doesn't really mean that they will not be able to do the bhakti in this life. Of course, what we can do, feed them prasad, see that if they are conducive to hear the message, they are ready to inquire, and who knows. But most cases you will see that like we have some example of how many people we are able to bring to DYS, but how many of those are able to really progress and seriously take up the bhakti, because due to the attachment. So the people they come, I've never found anybody saying, only one person I've seen that who dropped the class after third class, but everybody else completed the course and everybody appreciated it. But only a few 10%, 20% people really came forward and started really taking up seriously. And of those 20% also, then you see the people start dropping off slowly for one reason or the other reason, right? So it is just the attachment, right? How much attachment we have for the various things. So qualification for taking up to Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. Ati bhagyena means by special impressions arising from association with great devotees. Thus, the cause of faith is not material action, but the bhakti in the form of association of devotees. So this is why it is said that bhakti comes from bhakti. Vairagya means false renunciation, which is unfavorable for worship. Qualification for taking up to Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. The devotee does not indulge in that false vairagya. However, it is understood he will endeavor for detachment from desires for material enjoyment through Yukta Vairagya, since that is favorable for development of Bhakti. What is Yukta Vairagya? Anybody remembers from Bhagavad Gita?
Dovetailing every action for the satisfaction
Yes,
of Krishna.
yes, Mataji. Perfect answer. Yes, yes, dovetailing, right? So vairagya is, in this case, is not that I dislike everything, but I won't be using those things for my own sense pleasure, but I'll be using that if it is appropriate for Krishna's pleasure, or for Krishna's devotee's pleasure, right? So I will use it. So Yukta Vairagya, since that is favorable for development of bhakti. So stages of progression of bhakti. So this is something which Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has written in one of his book. So we know about the 8 stages, right? Um, Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajan Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, Nishtha, Ruchi, Ashakti, Bhava, Prema. Okay, but here you see there are 14 stages which has been described. um, you don't need to by heart it, but it just shows you how each of the steps really matters. And then the reason why I have put it here, so that when we see the activity which happens in the temple, or the activities which the devotees are performing, why those things are so important. Okay, so first is satam kripa. So mercy of devotees. So how does the mercy of devotee happens? They just because they are merciful, right? There is no reason for the mercy of the devotee. They are just merciful. They want to bring everybody to Krishna, right? So they are just merciful. But then what happens if somebody becomes, let's say, a devotee is being merciful to me and they did something to me, and in that I said, wow, what a wonderful devotee, what a wonderful, I really also want to reciprocate, and I want to serve this devotee. So let's say I invite that devotee for the dinner prasad. So that's the service to devotee. So that's called mahat seva. That's the reason why whenever the devotees are coming, we becomes very enthusiastic. We want to serve them, we want to feed them, we want to do anything, small things for them, right? Drive them or do whatever service little service we can do, wash their dhoti, anything, right? So that is mahaseva. That leads to increase in shraddha. That is the shraddha. That is the agyat. That leads to agyas sukriti, right? That leads to shraddha. So before shraddha, there are two steps: satam kripa, mercy of the devotees, right? Agency of the. So we said that the bhakti has no cause. The cause of bhakti is bhakti, which is the coming from the bhaktas. Okay, and then we do the seva is so important, the service, right? Service from the very beginning is important, but this time the service is happening for the devotees, and that will lead to shraddha, increase in shraddha. And then let's say the shraddha gets to certain critical point, that time we will start worshipping the Lord. Guru Padishraya, surrender to Guru. So this is where the people take the initiation. They said, okay, I need a guru, I want to surrender to a guru. Okay, and this is very important, and this is not the physical act, right? So the most important part is the intentional act, right? Am I surrendered? And this is like the reason, like we celebrate the Prabhupada appearance day, and then because if I'm not surrendered, I'm just externally surrendered to my Guru Maharaj, and not surrendered to Prabhupada, it means just I'm just I'm doing the showmanship, because my Guru Maharaj is surrendered to Prabhupada, right? Prabhupada is our Acharya, right? He's the founding Acharya. So Guru Padashraya. And then bhajaneshu spraha, desire for performing bhakti. So that will lead to, because once you surrender to Guru, there's more desire. This is bhajan kriya, right? Bhajan kriya is happening. So I'm just doing the mapping also, right? Okay, bhakti is called bhajan kriya here. Bhajaneshu spraha, desire. So before I do the bhajan kriya, see the step. Before we do anything, the first thing before that, what it will proceed with is the desire. So first I need to have a desire, right? And that desire is getting generated by serving the Guru, surrendering to the Guru. That's again a very implicit function happens, right? So otherwise we'll get the material desire. Now that desire is being replaced by desire to performing bhakti, and then bhakti will happen, bhajan kriya. So bhajan kriya in our that stage includes step 5 and 6 together, basically. Okay, anartha pagamaha, anartha pagamaha, clearance of anartha, that's anartha nivriti. Okay, so that is the same step. Nishtha is the same step, a steady practice of bhakti. So most of the anartha goes away, then nishtha, the steady practice starts. That's really the true bhakti starts, you can say, in from that. Ruchi, taste for practice of bhakti. So more taste after nishtha, more taste is, so as one-to-one mapping, right? So one-to-one. Ashakti, attachment for pleasing the Lord. So difference between ruchi and asakti is there's a act attachment for pleasing the Lord. Then the ruchi is the taste for practice of bhakti. So I'm enjoying the process of bhakti. But in the asakti, there's a deep desire, that is my action, the whatever I'm doing, is it pleasing to the Lord? Is it not pleasing to the Lord? That's ashakti, right? And then rati is bhava, which is that's a mapping, and prema to prema, right? And darshanam, seeing the Lord. So in the after prema, it is darshanam. Then one would, once a person reaches the prema stage, they are able to see the Lord face to face, right? And harer madhurya anubhava, experiencing the Lord's sweetness. So just not seeing the Lord, experiencing the Lord's sweetness. It's a pretty higher stage, pretty higher stage. Okay, so so there are some narrations from Narad Muni. I'll quickly go over it. And in another kalpa of Brahma, in a previous life. So this is another kalpa of Brahma. Okay, so it is not this kalpa of, means the previous days of. So one kalpa is the one day of Brahma kalpa. So another kalpa of Brahma in a previous life. I was born as the son of a maid servant. So Narad Muni is narrating his life, okay? Engaged by some persons studying the Vedas. Though a child, I was also engaged in serving them during the monsoon season when they decided to stay in one place. So this is Mahat Seva. This is where the Mahat Seva happened. Okay, so Satam Kripa happened because those devotee came to the house where Narad Muni was the son of a maid servant, and because maid servant her mother was serving, he got to opportunity to meet with this exalted Vedantist, right? And when then he did the seva for them, Mahaseva. In a previous birth, being the son of a maid servant, I was engaged in the service of some bhakti Vedantas during the rainy season. Okay. Then further Narad Muni says that though the sages saw everything equally, they showed mercy to me, by which I, though a boy, developed sense control, gave up child's play and all agitation, became obedient, served attentively, and spoke little. So these are all they say speaking. One we say that vacho vegam, right? So this nectar of instruction. Now I will be making some connection, but I would also request you to also make connection. Reflect what we studied in nectar of instruction. Vacho vegam. Why it is called vegam? Why it is called vegam? Vegam means urge, right? So there is urge, like we just think something I hear, I have urge, I have also I want to also contribute. Okay, I also want to contribute. Or and then we say something which is not very thoughtful, right? So if we think before we say something whether what I'm going to say is going to be useful, add value, then that is not vegam, right? Because I'm thinking and then think, okay, whatever I'm going to say is going to add value, right? But most of us, if we are like think in the social circle or any places how we are reacting, or with the people, I feel very comfortable how I am reacting, right? In the office we always do this cost benefit analysis. It's not that I don't have a vegam, but I'm thinking that if I say something and it just goes it's not right, then I'll have a bad impression, right? So I am doing the cost benefit analysis there, right? But we all have this vegam. So what happens that the Lord sitting in our heart when we are doing the devotional service, He helps and remove that anartha, that propensity of speaking unnecessarily. Right? So I spoke little. Alpa Bhashini. So Narad Muni, he became Gambhir basically. That's one of the quality of Krishna, becoming Gambhir. Right? Gambhir means you become you become grave. Grave it doesn't mean serious. Grave means that what is my position, what is the position of the Supreme Lord, and all the senses he had given me is for his service. Why should I be just talking unnecessarily which doesn't make sense and waste time? Rather I should be speaking Krishna's katha, okay, or doing chanting. Okay, so there's all these things are just in a very young age, Narad Muni become very grave, and this is the proof for qualification for Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. This is something which was also listed by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in his commentary in the above when Mataji was reading. And this is directly coming from 11:27:28. I'm not going to read it, but this is something we should remember this verse, right? Having awakened faith in the narration of my glory. So this is basically the classic verse of the practitioner qualification of the Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. Classic verse, right? We have done this comparison multiple times. Okay, so classic symptoms of Vaidhi Sadhaka. What are the classic symptoms from there? So from this verse, it is being broken down into 7 parts. Six parts. So Jato Shraddha Mat Kathasu has awakened faith in the process of bhakti. So enough Agyat Sukriti has happened through the Mahat Kripa. Okay, so has awakened faith in the process of bhakti. Nirvinna Sarva Karmeshu, disgusted with all prescribed duties. So like the prescribed duties, you these are just a waste of time. Means I don't know. Means I'll be glad like if those things slowly goes away, like with my job, all the things I'm getting pulled. I want to spend more time with Krishna. Veda Dukhatmakam Kaman understands that sense gratification leads to misery. So understand that the sense gratification leads to misery. Prati tyage api anishvaraha, still unable to give up sense gratification. So understand the sense gratification leads to misery, but I'm not able to give. I know that eating sweet is not good, but I see the sweet in my home, and I say, let me taste little bit, and then I take little bit, little bit more, and then by the time after a while the whole sweet is finished, right? So I'm not able to give up sense gratification. Chusmanascha tan kaman dukho dukho dar kamascha garhayan. Unable to give up sense gratification, he sincerely repents for engaging in such acts. But this person sincerely repent, like after eating the sweet, I shouldn't have done that. I'm such a great fool. I don't have any control of my senses. What can I do? Okay, and I'm not faking it up. I'm really thinking that I really made a mistake. I have to do something about it. Next time, the sweet shouldn't be there. If and the sweet is there, I'll just go away from there. I'll tell my wife, you should remove that sweet. It's enticing me. So I'm really being repentful. I'm trying to do anything, some which can really prevent and do. I'll again, maybe I'll make the mistake, but I'm trying everything in my power, right? Then, and what is the Krishna instruction of such sadhakas? Tato bhajate mam prita shraddhalur dhrita nishchaya. Remain happy and worship me with great faith and conviction. And these kind of a devotee, they remain happy and worship me with great faith and conviction. So this is a sadhaka. This is the life of sadhaka, right? We say that, hey, we are a struggling sadhaka. We are struggling sadhaka, but here we shouldn't become lazy. Why I'm emphasizing this? Because there may be some tendency, and due to our anarthas, we think that I'm not only able to do 2 rounds, that will happen, but I'm not trying enough. I'm just thinking, that will happen. Then that is not a show of faith, right? Show of faith, I'm really trying. Okay, 2, I have to go to 8. Okay, I have to go to 16, or I have to do that service. I'm trying, and I'm failing. That's good. Okay, that's not good, but means I acknowledge, right? But I should be trying hard. My endeavor, there has to be endeavor, and that endeavor will attract Krishna. But while doing that, I'm happy with my service. I'm very happy. Oh, the Rath Yatra is happening, or the other events are happening, or something, whatever I can do. So I'm happy and trying to grow myself. So this definition from Srimad Bhagavatam is the classic definition of Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. What kind of, and it talks about the characteristic of a person, what kind of person that is, what is the characteristic of person, and what's the guarantee Krishna is giving here. So it encapsulates everything. So that is chapter 2. Any question? Does it make sense? While I'm putting chapter 3 here, tell me if are you able to follow.
Yes, Prabhu.
I have just one small question.
Yes,
The 14 steps you mentioned before for the
yes,
bhava
Prabhu.
and prema. So can some of these steps go in parallel also, like they are like sequential all the time?
Okay, so now I would ask the class, what do you think, everybody? So how should we answer Umesh Prabhu's question? What is our understanding? Does everybody understood Umesh Prabhu's question?
It looks like sequential, Prabhuji, to me at least.
Okay, okay. And why it is sequential, Prabhuji? Give me some Why it looks sequential to you?
Because just I keep myself here. Then I was not knowing about this bhakti so much until it is told to me with one of my colleague. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
in office, he introduced me. Then I just moved. I got the mercy of devotee. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then
Mm-hmm.
second thing started for me. Means I
Okay.
started making some progress and some
Mm-hmm.
faith with that. Yeah. So.
Okay, but mhm,
Mhm.
mhm. So basically, you are saying the Shraddha happened. Okay, so Shraddha happened because your some of the friend introduced, and then after that, what? Then after that, what happened?
Okay. After that, so after that, slowly we are doing Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. Step by
Mm-hmm.
step, we are trying to increase our faith and yes,
So,
seva kind of things.
so what I mean from the eight classic stage, right?
Hmm.
Shraddha, Sadhu, Sangha, Bhajan Kriya, right? Anarth Nivrti. Shraddha,
Yeah, those
Sadhu.
looks very.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
so what
it looks.
what all things are happening. So Shraddha, Sadhu, Sangha, Bhajan Kriya. So to answer your question, tell me whether you first did the Sadhu Sangha and then you did the Bhajan Kriya. Is that how it happened?
Yeah, Prabhuji. For me, when I started attending class, when I started means associating with devotees, then things started moving. And
So
still,
so
when I don't. Mhm, go ahead, Prabhuji.
so are you? So have you stopped? So now you're now. So you are which stage? Are you in the Bhajan Kriya stage or are you in the Sadhu Sangha stage?
Bhajan, yeah.
Oh, I guess
So
this has to be like a continuous process. I think,
Right.
I mean,
ex-
we cannot be in one stage and we stop doing the previous one. If we are in fifth stage, we stop doing the fourth stage. Or
exactly. Exactly, Prabhu. So you answered your question. So see here, and that was the line of question where I was going, right? So all of us are here, and this we are in the continuation. We all these things are running in parallel. So it's not that the Shraddha, once we start from Shraddha, Shraddha is not throughout the phases. The Shraddha is increasing. As I am doing Sadhu Sangha, more Shraddha is increasing. I am doing Sadhu Sangha and Bhajan Kriya together. I am doing the Sadhu Sangha, I am meeting with the association, my association with the devotees is increasing. And as more increasing, I'm getting more enthusiastic to do Bhajan Kriya. Bhajan Kriya means my chanting is improving, my reading is improving, my listening is improving, my seva is Bhajan is means seva of the Lord also, right? So that is improving. And that is leading to more Sadhu Sangha. That is improving more of my Shraddha. And while those things are happening, I'm becoming more aware of my anarthas because of, what Krishna's we read above, right? That as we are doing nishkam karma, then the purification happens. So purification means the conditioning is going away. Conditioning is going away means I am becoming more aware. I can see my anartha, and those anarthas, by the mercy of the Lord, are getting rid of slowly. There are many anarthas we have, like it or not. We are full of anarthas. We are just like a garbage, right? But Lord is so merciful that those anarthas is getting rid of. So all these four stages are happening right now. And as for these four stages are happening, our determination is also improving. So we haven't reached to Nishtha stage. And that doesn't mean that determination only happened in Nishtha. Determination is happening for Sadhu Sangha, for Bhajan Kriya, getting rid of the Anarth Nivritti. All this in determination is happening. But this stage of Nishtha is where most of the Anarth Nivritti has happened. Right? So most of us, the sadhakas, we are in these four stages. And these are running in parallel.
So, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So it is in a batch actually. One batch of things is happening in parallel. Then we get to go to next set of batch. Maybe that batch happening parallel.
So yeah, so it's not even a batch there. So so what do you think? The Nishtha is happening. Have I stopped doing the Bhajan Kriya and Sadhu Sangha?
Oh, I mean, while doing that, I just got the Nishtha. Okay. And then once we reach the Nishtha stage, then probably we'll go to the higher stages. Because
So
without
okay,
reaching the Nishtha, we may not move to higher stages.
so okay, so Ruchi, Ashakti, Bhava, Prema. Okay. So so while I am at, so this is just like a curry, right? So they are different taste, but some one taste is more prominent. So Nishtha, there's more determination, but there is still unearthed nivrittis, right? I am more doing more bhajan kriya, more sadhu sangha. So it's again, it's not that when I need a nishtha, then these four things goes away. No, while I'm doing nishtha, all these other four things are also going in parallel. So this becomes one nishtha. Now, if I'm doing nishtha, do I don't have ruchi? Probably I have some ruchi, and it means I haven't crossed this. So these things are running. This is not like a complete demarker. These are all overlapping stages, overlapping stages. In Madhurya Kadamani, at least I know I have read, there is description of some of the symptoms, like one who is in this stuff, what they do. So one of the some of the symptoms are in this stage when you are. How many of you, when you are doing japa, you start feeling sleepy? Anybody, or none of you feel sleepy when you are doing japa? Or what about the classes? Like, are you really enthusiastic of listening to the classes? And you are just, oh, the class is going to happening, and you are just go there and sit 5 minutes before the class starts. So those are some of the things which are listed as the characteristic of nishtha. Mangal Arti. Doesn't matter whether I'm sleeping at 10 p.m. or 12 p.m. I'll wake up at for Mangal Arti, run, because I'm just want Nishtha. That's the kind of determination. So there are characteristics which say that okay, pre, I am deterministically I'm getting into the Nishtha stage, but that is not a like okay, I'm done with Nishtha. I've gone to Ruchi. No, Nishtha will continue with Ruchi. Ruchi will continue with Asakti. Nishtha, Ruchi, Bhajan Kriya, Sadhu, Sangha, Shraddha, all things is continuing with Asakti, right? And Bhava primarily is like okay, so at this stage most of the anartha nivritti has gone. There's only the traces remaining, but that doesn't mean I'm not doing sadhu sangha, and my shraddha has gone to the boundary, right? It is like the highest level of shraddha I have, because nothing else matters to me in my life, right? And then I see the sadhu, I just start crying. I see the sadhu as the direct personification of Krishna. That's the kind of bhakti I have. And I'm just singing all the time, I'm singing, right? And I'm thinking I am the lowest. Even though I am at bhava, I'm thinking I'm the lowest of the low. I'm such a rascal, right? But my determination is very high. All right. I'm all the time I'm crying asakti. I want to do more and more of this of the bhakti process. I'm thinking I am so fallen. So see, even at the bhava stage, what everything is happening. Okay, but the predominantly you see how the shraddha is at the level of, means a very high level, right? The sadhu sangha where I'm seeing everybody as the part and parcel of the Krishna, seeing with that vision. Does it make sense, Prabhuji? Satinder Prabhu?
Oh, you're asking me, Prabhuji? I thought of me.
Yes. Yeah,
It
Prabhu.
makes sense, Prabhuji, but I have one doubt here. Means
Mm-hmm.
basically, certainly the things on the top can go in parallel, but you can reach means lower level, means deeper level one by one. Means once you list about stage 6, then you can probably continue all the top 6. Okay. Then while practicing that, we may get asakti, and then we are practicing all the top 7. Means it is not possible. I am not even in Sardha. I will get prema directly. That is not something possible.
Yeah. That is, yeah. Yes, it's not that you're Shraddha that you'll get.
Get the
Okay, but
prema
again,
directly.
no, but again, Prabhu. Okay, that is not an absolute answer. Okay, why? But majority for 99.999999999%, yes, one has to endeavor from Shraddha to Prema. Okay,
Right.
but Krishna can award Prema to anybody. Okay, because there may be reasons. in the past, right? So somebody comes and they get prema instantly, right? The next in 2 months you see that that person has just left everything. He's just totally in the raga bhakti. But that is very 0.00001, and the Krishna talks about that he can, because he's Swarat, right? He's not bound by the process. He's not bound by the process. Okay, so your answer is mostly correct, but it's not absolutely correct.
Again, that is based on their past deeds, maybe Prabhuji, because in
Yeah,
past life he might have already gone through all these things.
yeah,
So
yeah.
he's just in continuation process.
So
That
see,
way you can understand. Yeah.
so that is past life we can say, but Krishna can. But again, you have to see that Krishna, if he gets merciful, like he can award anything to anybody. Again, most cases will say that okay, that person has the baggage. But again, we shouldn't diminish what I'm trying to emphasize. Krishna is not bound by any rules. Like the CEO comes and like seeing in the happy mood, he says, Satendra Prabhu, oh, give this guy promotion or just fire this guy. Just is in a happy mood. What would you say? Oh, what? Just Satendra Prabhu was just supposed to be there in front of the CEO, right? So Krishna can do anything, but in most cases, your answer is true that there is a that person his faith from the past birth, maybe this person um, is doing as a part of the Leela who is there, right? So we'll see that some person they suddenly like Advaita Acharya or some like somebody like they are so much in devotion. They are because they are expansion of the Lord and they don't need to go through this process, right? They can get to directly to the prema.
Mhm. Yep. Got it, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Any other question, dear devotees? Okay, so we will jump to chapter 3. So here, see what the introduction defines pure devotional service. So let me make it a little bigger for your eyes. Okay. So the introduction defines. So we already talked about it. The introduction defines pure devotional service. Chapter 1 describes its 6 characteristics, and chapter 2 describes its practice. Right. So how to practice the devotional service. This chapter will describe the basic qualification for practicing devotional service. So even though we talked about the what are the qualification for uh, Vaidhi Sadhakas, right? This chapter is further going to elaborate on that. So let's read it. Devotional service is causeless, right? So this is causeless. There is no cause for it. The cause of devotion is devotion, right? So the bhakti, cause of bhakti is bhakti. So devotional service is causeless. Consequently, there are no prerequisite for taking up the practice of sadhana bhakti. In the beginning, one does not even need knowledge and detachment. Attraction to serving Krishna is the only requirement, which is equivalent to desire to serve Krishna. So basically, I have all this materialistic desire, but slowly this desire is sprouting that I should go to temple. I like to go for this bhajana. I like to go and talk to this devotee. So that new desire is developing. So and that is attraction to serving Krishna is the only requirement. Srila Prabhupada right. One may attain a little bit of attraction to Sri Krishna, but at the same time may remain very much attached to fruitive activities and material sense enjoyment. Such a person, if he has unflinching attraction to Krishna, becomes an eligible candidate for discharging devotional service, right? So main thing is very much so what's happening, one may attain little bit of attraction to Sri Krishna, but at the same time, so that person is doing all the materialistic thing, is still going to the work and attached to his car or his house, his wife, his children, but there's a little bit of attraction for Krishna, right? And such a person, if he has unflinching attraction to Krishna, becomes an eligible candidate for discharging devotional service. So slowly that attraction, it becomes more and more, then that person becomes eligible for discharging devotional service. Srila Rupa Goswami substantiates this by quoting Lord Krishna's statement to Uddhava: My dear Uddhava, only by exceptional fortune does someone become attracted to me. And even if one is not completely detached from fruitive activities or is not completely attached to devotional service, service is quickly effective. So, what is telling? What is the practical meaning can we draw from this paragraph? Anyone, please? Quick. Let's keep making progress. Okay, you all should, unmute yourself. Maybe it takes more time for you to unmute. So basically here is what even the little service which we do, right, that will lead to more increase in the devotional service. Okay, in other words, even if one is still attached to material life, he can begin practicing devotional service if he simply some attraction to it, if he simply has some attraction to it. Okay, so topic 6, types of person qualified for Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. So this is something which we had talked in Nectar of Instruction also. So do you remember the type of bhaktas we talked about in Nectar of Instruction? Does anybody remember?
Yes, Prabhu, three types of.
The, yes, Mataji. So say the same topic from a different perspective will be being talked here. So anybody would like to read through this, please?
Yes, Prabhu, I can read.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Translation. There are three types of persons qualified for Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti: the uttama, the madhyama, and the kaniṣṭha. The uttama adhikari is defined as follows: the person who is skillful in scripture and logic, completely firm in his belief, and with deep faith is considered qualified as uttama in Vaidhi Bhakti. Jiva Goswami's commentary.
Yes, Prabhu. Sorry.
Previously, yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, Prabhu. Sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry, Prabhu. I'm just saying. Sorry that I am trying to highlight it and you might be getting disturbed.
No, that's fine,
Oops.
Prabhu.
Yeah.
Previously, in defining
Go ahead, Prabhu. Sorry. Yeah.
Previously, in defining Vaidhi Bhakti, it was said that Vaidhi Bhakti existed where the actions were inspired by the teachings of scripture. Thus, it may be concluded that the root cause of a person's bhakti is faith in the content of scriptures. Conviction in the contents of the scriptures is called Shraddha or faith. According to the degree of faith in scriptures, there will be classifications of persons possessing that faith. That is now the topic of the discussion. For two verses, the second verse has been divided into two verses, 18 and 19. Sastre yuktau nipunah means conversant with scripture and logic. This person developed firm conviction, dridha nishchaya, through studying thoroughly the principles of philosophy, tattva, the sadhana, and the goal, purushartha. That is the meaning of sarvatha in all ways. Logic, yukte, should here be understood as logic following the statements of scriptures, because independent logic is condemned in verse 1.1.45. One cannot understand bhakti by dry logic. Yuktis tu kevala neva. This is also understood from Vedanta Sutra 2.1.27. Shrutes tu sam. Excuse me, Prabhu. Prabhu, can
Yeah.
somebody continue?
Yeah, Prabhu. It's okay. Yeah. Yeah. Shruteshtu sada mulatvat. The Lord can be understood only through the scriptures. A meaning should be accepted with reference to what precedes and follows. Such reasoning is the logic to be used. Dry logic should be rejected. Vaishnava Tantra, that's from the Vaishnava Tantra. A person who is qualified as above and has deep faith is the Uttamadhikari. Right, so this is the Jiva Goswami's, and further how he's talking about. The main thing is dry logic is not going to win it, right? So one person has to, who is Uttamadhikari, who has faith in his scriptures. At the same time, he can use so logic is nothing wrong. It is a tool, right? Who can appropriately use the logic to bring the point for other people. But somebody just having the logic is just not enough, right? It has to be supported by the scriptures. So for the translation, the Madhyama Adhikari is defined as follows. The person who is not fully conversant with the scriptures like the Uttama Adhikari but has firm conviction in them is known as the Madhyama Adhikari. Right? So for conviction, so for Uttama, very firm conviction, Madhyama, very firm conviction, but not fully conversant with the scripture. They may not know everything. May not explain everything, but they can explain a lot, but not everything. Okay. So Jeev Goswami commentary in this verse, Sastra Dish Anipunaha means he's not as conversant with the scriptures as the Uttamadhikari. This means that when a strong challenger presents his points, he cannot establish the correct conclusion. Shraddhavan means he is still firmly convinced in his mind of the scriptural conclusions. Right? So just like a Uttama Bhaktas. So like a Uttama Bhakta, we are very certain that yeah, Krishna is the goal. Anya Bilashita Sunyam, Jnana Karmadi Anavritam. Right? So we're very firm about that. But of course I am failing, right? The conviction is firm, right? The knowledge of the Shastra is firm. I may not be able to. I may somebody Mayavadi comes who knows a lot about the Shastra. They started going here and there, quoting here and there. I cannot quote anything. I can. I remember I have read it, but no. Let me open the book. But I'm not able to do that, right? So so that's what the difference is. 19. The definition of kaniṣṭha Adikari is as follows: he who has weak faith because of even less knowledge of scripture than the madhyama Adikari is called the kaniṣṭha, right? So he's a weak faith. Komal Shraddha is called Komal Shraddha. So here it says Komal Shraddha. This word is used. Um, Jiva Goswami commentary. This person is not at all conversant with the scripture. The phrase Sastra Dish Anipunaha should be supplied from the previous definition. The person's faith is just conviction in the meaning of the scripture without knowing much. Right? So there is like a superficial. I understand, Bhagavad Gita. I understand the message of Bhagavad Gita. Yeah, Krishna is a god, but uh, why Krishna is a god? I don't know. Somebody said that. Okay, let me go and find it out. Right? So those are the kind of people are being talked here. Anipuna in that case means a little knowledge, less than the madhyama. Having weak faith, Komal Shraddha means that it is possible to break his faith by different scriptural reasoning. So these are the people. So let's say they come, they start coming for the Bhagavad Gita class, and then tomorrow they learn about the Kriya Yoga from, let's say, from some other guru, and they are saying we are doing yoga. You will get some peace of mind, and they go to class, they attend that, and I get the peace, and they say that okay, let me go and practice that, right? So their faith can be broken. Other Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes, other persons using scriptural logic can defeat a person with tender faith. However, the person is not completely unconvinced, because in that case the person would not even be considered a devotee. Weak faith in the verse means temporary unsteadiness of the heart when defeated by a strong materialistic opponent. Later, the person regains faith in what the guru has taught by his own judgment. So this may slow down. So what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is telling, that this may slow down a person, right? But that person is not that he or she is a gone case. They may go and regain their faith and come back, right? Otherwise, they can't even be called the kaniṣṭha Adikari. So there is a faith for them to be called the kaniṣṭha Adikari. So 2021, among the four types of persons qualified for bhakti mentioned in the Gita, when they receive the mercy of the Lord or his devotee and eradicate those tendencies, they become qualified for pure bhakti. Examples of this are Gajendra, Sonika, and the sages, Dhruva, and also the four Kumar. So, so there are four kind of sukritinos, right? I suppose this was in chapter 16 or 17, where Krishna talks about that, and I think we'll elaborate on that. So, Jeev Goswami has given very elaborate commentary on this. Please read yourself. So, okay, I just my comment. So, I think. So, okay. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur commentary. Gajendra, being greedy to attain the sweetness of the Lord, gave up his desire to get relief from suffering and then became a pure devotee. The sages had, so here these four examples, in what reference it has been given. So this is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is just giving one liner. So I like the summary. So Gajendra, being greedy to attain the sweetness of the Lord, right, gave up his desire to get relief from the suffering and then became a pure devotee. And then the sages, right, the Sonika and all those sages. The sages headed by the Sonika gave up their desire for knowing about Swargaloka and other topics through the association with Suta and became pure devotees. And Dhruva, by the mercy of the Lord, gave up his desire for a kingdom and became a pure devotee. Right, he wanted to have the kingdom even bigger than his dad. right? And the Kumaras, by the mercy of the Lord, gave up the desire for liberation and became pure devotees. So these Kumaras, they were like um, uh, uh, they were in the knowledge of the Brahman, right? But they were not the devotee. And once they entered the Vaikuntha and they got the smell of the tulsi, instantly they became a pure devotee. They gave up their desire for liberation. So that's where these four examples have been used for the four different kind of people with the different faith, right? So here is a summary view of the Uttama, Madhyama, and Kaniṣṭha based on the definition of the nectar of devotion, right? Bhakti Rasam and Sindhu. So Uttama is strong faith, knowledge is also strong. So both faith is strong, knowledge is strong. Convinced and can convince others, can defeat opposing opinions, right? So that's the Uttama. Madhyama is strong, knowledge is good, but can't always defeat. So it's not that they are defeated all the time, but they can't always defeat. And they are convinced, right? Okay, always defeat opposing. And Kaniṣṭha is weak, easily swayed. Weak cannot offer arguments to opposing opinions, right? So that's the Kaniṣṭha. So piety as a precursor to faith in bhakti. So we'll just finish few more things. We'll take another 5-10 minutes. Piety as a precursor to faith in bhakti. Srila Prabhupada gives an extensive commentary on the above reference from Bhagavad Gita, beginning at the second paragraph of page 31 and continuing to the top of page 33. He makes the following points. Although the four types of pious men are not qualified to practice Uttama Bhakti, they are meritorious, for they have approached Krishna. Srila Prabhupada says these four types of devotees have been described in the seventh chapter of Bhagavad Gita, and they have all been accepted as pious. Without becoming pious, no one can come to devotional service. Srila Prabhupada further confirms the importance of piety. Without pious activities, if a man is in a distressed condition, he becomes an agnostic, a communist, or something like that. Because he does not firmly believe in God, he thinks he can adjust his distressed condition by totally disbelieving in Him. Bhakti is causeless and independent. It cannot be result of a ritualistic pious deeds. Therefore, the piety mentioned above refers to previous devotional activities, which is Sukriti, Sukriti we are talking about, which done knowingly or unknowingly awakens attraction to God. That is why Srila Prabhupada specifically equates lack of piety with lack of firm belief in God, right? So if I'm doing Mahat Seva, that is leading to piety and that is leading to belief in God. So that is the point Prabhupada is trying to make, right? When he say that if one lacks the piety, then that person doesn't have the faith. Otherwise, that person, if he had the faith, then he would have had the piety, right? You can understand that how he's inferring, he's using the mathematical logic. Okay. So what categories do the four Sukritinas belongs to? Kaniṣṭha, Madhyama, or Uttama. Among the four types of person qualified for bhakti mentioned in Gita, when they receive the mercy of the Lord or his devotee and eradicate those tendencies, they becomes qualified for pure bhakti. Example of this are Gajendra, Sonaka, and the sages, Dhruva, and also the four Kumar. Okay, so those are the verses we already read. Okay, so what category do the four Sukritinas belongs to? Kaniṣṭha, Madhyama, Uttama. So that's the discussion. The Sukritina refers to possessing good fortune of gaining faith by association with the great devotees, which causes impression of bhakti. The first three types of person may or may not have that Sukriti. If they happen to have Sukriti, then they worship the Lord. In the case of the Jnani, however, it is certain he has Sukriti because he can only become knowledgeable of the Lord from such Sukriti. Thus, he definitely worship the Lord. This is the meaning. Gajendra, being greedy to attain the sweetness of the Lord, gave up his desire to get relief from suffering and then became a pure devotee. The sages headed by Sonaka gave up their desire. So this already we have read. Dhruva, by the mercy of Lord, gave up desire. So this is the exact same thing. Okay, so these are um, all the things we have already covered. So so there's okay. Uh, Okay, then I suppose we have to start the new topic. So we won't start the new topic. Otherwise, this chapter was actually, there was only one topic. We could have completed the chapter, but let's not rush through it. In the next week, we will complete the chapter 3. It's not a from and these chapters are from the nectar of devotion. How Prabhupada has divided the chapter. Otherwise, if you look from the Bhakti Rasamrita and Sindhu, we are still on chapter 2. Okay, but from Prabhupada's the way he has divided, he is taking a thematic approach which works for in the current context, right? So that's what he talked about. So any question, thoughts? So one question, let me ask you: the four Sukritos is talking about. Do you know what four Sukritos is talking about? Mhm. Any idea? Anybody remembers the verse? Artha, Artharthi, Jigyasu.
Prabhu, is it the one who is distressed and who is
Yes, yes,
desire of wealth?
yes, Mataji, exactly. That's the four kind of people Krishna mentions, right? Right. So, inquisitive, desirous of wealth, um, and then what you said,
The
uh,
distressed and who
yeah,
is
distress.
in search of knowledge.
Yes. So, artha. So, looking for money. Artha, artharthi, jigyasu. Okay, artha, artharthi, jigyasu, and one more Sanskrit word I'm forgetting. So,
Yeah.
and somebody said something?
Jnani.
Jigyasu. Jigyasu is inquisitive. There was no Gyani, I remember. So I'm just said in chapter 7. Uh, okay. Okay, so here, text 16. O best among the Bharata, the four kind of pious men begin to render devotional service unto me. The distressed, the desirer of wealth, the inquisitive, and who is searching for knowledge. Actually, the Gyani. So, Mataji, you are right. So, it is the Gyani. So, the inquisitive and the Gyani, they are two different things. So, Chatur Vidha Bhajante Imam, Jnana So Kritno Arjuna, Artho Jigyasur Artharthi, Gyani Cha Bharat Sava. Yes. So, I'll put this verse here. So, this is. So these are the four kind of sukritinos they are talking about. And why they are sukritinos? Because so the important point which Prabhupada argued, right? Four kinds of pious men. So where the piety is coming from? Piety is coming through agyat sukriti. So they did something that led to those piety, because these are the kind of people who are coming to want to come to Krishna, right? So if they haven't got distressed, so let's take one by one, okay? Um, So first let me copy it here so that maybe at the right place, Sukritinos, because it talks about those four types, maybe here. Okay, so here I have copied it. So so four kind of pious men begin to render devotion ways. The distressed. So why the distressed person could have gone for a suicide, right? Or they would say that, oh, this is the world is just bad, and then they would have become a murderer or like whatever, right? Abuser. But they are saying that they are distressed. So let me go and find about what is causing the distress, and they come to the temple. So they have done some piety, right? Which is equal to gaining some agyasukriti. Okay, that's one. The next one, the desire of wealth. Okay, desire of wealth could have gone to demigods, right? Lakshmi Puja or something. But they thought, I want wealth. Let me go and pray to Krishna or Vishnu. Okay, I'll ask Vishnu directly. I know that he's the highest or whatever, right? Or I just want Vishnu. So now, why they came to Vishnu? They could have gone to other Devi Devatas, but they didn't. They came here. So they had some piety. That's the reason they were able to come to Krishna. The inquisitive, right? So inquisitive, they could have used their inquisitivity to learn other books, other things, but they are more inquisitive. Okay, let me understand this Shastra, where that thought is coming from, right? What's wrong to understand Krishna philosophy? Okay, you said Bhagavad Gita, okay, I'll study Bhagavad Gita, okay, right? But there are people who say they are too busy to think about it. So they must have had some piety. And then the fourth, who is searching for knowledge of the absolute. So this is the jnani. So these are the jnani people who are looking for the knowledge of the absolute. They know that I don't belong to this place. I want to know where this who is the source, right? So they are the jnani. So of course they have got the piety. That's the reason. Otherwise they might be just going into the meditation or something, or some kind of a hatha yoga, which is devoid of the Lord. So Hatha Yoga and meditation, everything for the Lord is all good, but it's done just for as an exercise or anything like that, then it doesn't have any meaning to it, right? So all those things. So that's where Prabhupada's commentary becomes very important. That why these four Sukritinos means they had some piety, and then he's making a connection to a gas Sukriti in a way. So does it make sense? Here. So any other question before we end the class? Gayatri Mataji, anything?
No, Prabhuji.
Okay. Were you able to understand the topic? Does it make sense?
For
Gayatri
me,
Mataji? Yeah, Mataji, I'm asking you.
yes, Prabhuji, I feel like I kind of understand when you say, but when you ask, I feel like terribly like, where am I? I'm not able to answer one of the questions. So I wanted to call you after the class and talk to you. So I'm waiting.
Sure, Mataji. Yeah. Definitely, Mataji. Means the main thing is, I will highly recommend that after the class, go and read the Nectar of Devotion, right? The Prabhupada Nectar of Devotion. I'm not talking about the Bhakti Rasamrita and Sindhu Sanskrit version. Read the chapter. These chapters are very small. Like so chapter 3. So we almost finished. So chapter 1. There are very few pages. I think you can finish. So looking through the table of content. So 10 pages each, Mataji. 10 pages each, or less than 10 pages. So chapter 3 is 19 and 29, 10 pages, right? So sorry, 29 and 27, 8 pages. So 8 pages is chapter 3. So I would highly recommend that if you can read the Prabhupada's Nectar of Devotion in parallel, and then see that will help you to get the point further across, right? So here we are going more, um, uh, we are just not covering the sastric aspect, right? So we are covering the sastric aspect, the practical aspect, right? And then making the connection, right? So all three things we are doing. Prabhupada in Nectar Devotion, he puts everything together, right? Like a novel, right? So that's what he has done. So in some cases, maybe that may help in understanding the concept.
Sure, Prabhuji, I'll do that.
Okay, Satinder Prabhu, Umesh Prabhu, things got clear to you?
Yes, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, it is helpful. Yeah. Probably as you suggested, reading it a couple of times will help to get deeper.
Yes, Prabhu. And then the other thing I also say, just go and look for means everybody is different, right? Here we have divided into the topics, different topics. So even if you remember the topic and see how the things are coming, right? For example, if I have to put introduction to where I have, right? Introduction starts with the setting the North Pole, Uttama Bhakti. What is Uttama Bhakti? Okay, it talks about that. It is about Krishna, right? It should be pleasing to Krishna. It should not be mix of jnana, karma, anavritam, right? So it goes, and then it says what are the benefits? What are the 6 characteristics, right? So Klesha, Agni, Subhada, right? So all those things it goes like 6. Okay, so even if I forget the 6, but I know the connection. What is the benefit of that? What are the 6 characteristic of the somebody who's praying, who is practicing the Uttama Bhakti? So this is giving us symptoms, right? And but the first 2 are important to us, Klesha Agni and Subhada, right? So one will, all the misery will start going away, and the Subhada will happen with the people will see auspiciousness in their life, right? So those things, and that's we have elaborated. Then it goes to chapter 2, which is the Samanya Bhakti. It talks about the Samanya Bhakti in terms of, hey, what is bhakti? Start from bhakti, right? What is sadhana bhakti? Sadhana bhakti is where we are using our, so bhakti is done for Krishna, right? It is for Krishna only and nothing else. Sadhana bhakti where I'm using my senses for the, to get to the bhava stage, right? So bhakti is to get to bhava stage. Here I am using, in the sadhana bhakti, I'm using my senses for the bhakti. Then the part of the sadhana bhakti is vaidhi sadhana. Okay, sadhana bhakti is 2 types: vaidhi sadhana bhakti, raganuga bhakti. Vaidhi sadhana bhakti where the scripture is the basis, right? In the raganuga, the mood is the basis, right? The spontaneity of the mood is the basis. That's the raganuga bhakti, right? Now further then it is being elaborated who is qualified for the bhakti. And then in that qualification we are talking about the 3 adhikaris, right? The 3 adhikaris we talked about: uttama adhikari, madhyama adhikari, and kaniṣṭha adhikari. Uttama adhikari, okay, who are uttama adhikari? Who has firm conviction in the scripture, because it is related with the scriptures. So firm conviction with the scriptures. So see the relationship. Firm conviction, they can defeat anybody. Madhyama, firm conviction, may not always defeat. Uttama, weak conviction, and they cannot defeat, right? Look from the summary perspective, then things becomes very clear. Now I have the big picture. Now I can go into the more detail, right? So the whole purpose, even if you just read these translation for each of the verses, that can also give the whole purpose, because I figured that these verses in a very summary form, because they are translation, it is not an expansion. So it becomes a summary, right? And it gives the whole connection. Of course, within that, then we go and try to get the references from Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, various Puranas, right? What Jiv Goswami is quoting, what Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur is quoting, what Rup Goswami brings, right? Of course, we go into more sastric to gain more conviction that, hey, where this is coming, it just because I say so, or it has a firm footing in our Vaishnava's literature. So that's what it is trying to bring, right? So that's the net what we have studied so far from introduction to chapter 3. Umesh Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. This was very helpful, Prabhu.
Okay, Prabhuji. Okay. Okay, Rajesh Rekha, things are making sense?
Yeah, Prabhu. Still need to
Yes,
Okay.
revise quite a bit.
Okay.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
the summary.
Thank you.
At the end.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, Hare Krishna to everybody. We will resume and finish one topic we have remaining in chapter 3 next class, and then we will start chapter 4. Okay. So Hare Krishna to all of you. See you next week.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Hare Bol
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.